I have no illusions. I know the American political life sufficiently to know that that will not happen. But at least it's important to put pressure on the United States in order to make sure that the United States put pressure on Israel, as they are supporting Israel, put pressure on Israel to stop the war, and at the same time to recognize that the two-state solution must not be undermined.
Okay, joining us here is Tamer Qarmout, who's an associate professor, public policy at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Welcome back to Al Jazeera. Just your initial thoughts on what Guterres had to say to Al Jazeera.
I mean, it doesn't get clearer than this. So he's addressing it to the United States. It is the only superpower which has been so far enabling Israel to continue this war through funding weapons, arms, and providing diplomatic protection to Israel in UN corridors. So he says it blunt and clear. The US has to intervene. And this comes from the top UN diplomat. And this puts us, again, back to the US. I mean, where's the US administration when it comes to this? Of course, I mean, it's obvious to everyone that the US administration has been enabling this war to continue and to go on for so long.
But are his words strong enough, in your opinion? Because earlier this week, as you know, we saw the deadliest attack on UN staff in Gaza since the war began. Since also October 7th of last year, there are hundreds of UN facilities which have been damaged, hundreds of UN staff which have been killed in Gaza. So why hasn't the UN sort of been able to put an end to what looks to be blatant disregard of UN facilities and UN staff?
Excellent point, Doreen. I mean, the UN, especially UNRWA, has been a target and a victim of this war since the onset of the war, and Israel has been keen to target UNRWA in particular, in addition to other UN agencies, but because UNRWA carries this historical weight. UNRWA was established because of the establishment of Israel and the displacement of millions of Palestinians. So it's a UN agency that was established to cater for these Palestinian refugees, and as long as it exists and keeps delivering services, it means Palestinian refugees have a right, more or less, until until the conflict is solved and until they're able to return to their homeland. And most recently, the Israeli Prime Minister have also instructed the army to get ready to replace UNRWA in providing key social services to the residents of Gaza, which hints of Israel's willing to reoccupy Gaza, more or less. And I think when Guterres sees all of this, realizes that the Israeli campaign is bigger than fighting Hamas. It's after UNRWA as well. They want to end UNRWA's presence in the Gaza Strip. And this for sure, I mean, coming from a very rational politician, and Guterres was a foreign minister of Portugal, he realizes that this will not solve the conflict by any means. It will just complicate the conflict.
Just one final thought from you before we move on. This lack of accountability that many observe since the beginning of the Gaza war, specifically when it comes to, of course, the killing of UN staff in Gaza, does it sort of set a dangerous precedent that politics is being put above people, do you think?
Of course, but again, let's remind the viewers that the UN is a very political organization. And for it to reach to a consensus on any issue, any global affair, it has to be unanimous agreement among the key players, especially the veto players, the 5 important countries. It's not a fair UN. It does not represent the real will of the globe as it stands today. But we inherited the system past Second World War, and now that's the only available international system we have. I mean, decision making is taking in this complex political environment. So it is a political agency, but it carries a very humanitarian mandate that upholds human rights, human value, etc. But again, if you don't have this political consensus at the upper level, the administrative level of the UN becomes paralyzed. And this is where Guterres comes and he cries and he screams and he says, we need to get over with the politics, agree on a political solution to enable the UN as an entity, as an agency to perform and to deliver its responsibilities and duties.
Right.
But we're not there at this stage.
Thank you so much, Tamer Qarmout. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.